Hi guys, welcome to this live session with me, and I hope you can hear me and you can see me. Just give me a sec. We'll just start. So we are looking in this webcast. We are looking at the CAT 2018 Slot 2 paper, and we are looking at the quantitative aptitude section of that, as you can see on the screen. And the reason why I'm picking up this the 2018 quant section is essentially because of the fact that if you look at the CAT 2018 paper, it's kind of a landmark paper in the context of the CATs of the past 10-15 years, and landmark in the sense that the CAT 2018 quant aptitude section, which was set by IIM Calcutta, was one of the most unique kind of papers, and it kind of threw away preparation aspects of or the preparation structures that a lot of people had organized for themselves during their prep process, and especially uh, as I'll show you through this paper, through the discussion of the question in this paper in this course, the CAT 2018 slot one and slot two, both papers were in a lot of ways taking you away from your preparation, in the sense that it stopped giving you the standard questions and started inserting twists and turns inside questions. A lot of people who are not used to that, a lot of people who are not used to that actually uh, kind of uh, working, or kind of thrown off their preparation, and especially the mathematically oriented people who are algebraic in terms of algebraic in terms of their thinking, and in terms of their solving of stuff. Those such people kind of got stuck completely in this paper. Now, before I go into the questions, I want to tell you something which is very unique and a new launch on Unacademy, on the Plus platform of Unacademy. And if you actually go onto the Plus platform now, you will realize that Unacademy has launched something called the subscription model, in which uh, in which you can prepare for various exams under the subscription model. And I'll just tell you what the unique features of the subscription model are. Uh, for example, right now in the drop down in this picture, I have selected the CAT exam, but in this uh, drop down, you can select UPSC, SSC, CGL, banking, you name the exam. You name the exam, you can select whatever you feel like in terms of your preparation objectives. And you can actually subscribe to the courses, the wonderful live courses that are there on the Academy Plus platform. And the unique feature is that on the Plus platform, multiple educators For example, in CAT itself, there are 9 plus educators, including me, who are helping students like you prepare for this exam with courses that we publish every month, premium courses that we publish every month. So, for example, courses could be foundation in quantitative aptitude, advanced course in quantitative aptitude, foundation course in data interpretation, logical reasoning, one something that I'm doing, or a prep strategy course, etc. And the best part of it is that if you subscribe to the Unacademy Plus program, uh, for a category, whichever category you subscribe to, you actually get access to all the courses of all the educators, and you don't just get access to the live aspects of the educators, but also you get access to all the videos of the educators, and they'll be accessible to you for almost 2 years from the date that the course was launched, from the month in which that course was launched. And there are 30 plus hours of live sessions every day, which means in a month, if you look at a 30 day framework, you will have 900 plus hours of live sessions, which is very unique in terms of the kind of depth in this thing. You can choose your teacher, and you can choose what course you want to do with that teacher, and you can choose which teachers you want to follow, etc. on this. And so, for example, in CAT, uh, I am one of the people who will be helping you out prepare, and there are other great teachers who are available on the platform, who will be doing their own courses and helping you out in your preparation strategies, right? So, and in case you feel you are interested in the Unacademy Plus subscription, you can use my promo code. If you use my promo code, and subscriptions are available for 1 month, they are available for 6 months, and they're also available for a whole year. So there are different dimensions available for the subscriptions: 1 month, 6 months, and 1 year. And in case you are interested in this, and you go onto the Unacademy Plus platform, and you actually go ahead and register or get subscription of one of these courses, you can use my promo code, which is Arun M Sharma, to develop or to look at, or to get a 10% discount on the price, on the list price of that course. So that's something, as I said, a unique opportunity for all of you to access great training and great content from educators, top educators across India, right? Right. So coming back to the issue that we are talking about, uh, as I said, CAD 18, and this course is uh, about the quants section of the CAD 18 paper. And the first question I would like to address is, why is CAD 18 preparation a landmark or why was the CAD 18 an important landmark in the context of CAD prep? So, when you study a chapter, when you study a topic, whatever topic you study in maths, when you study your topics in maths, what happens is that you study some standard. I mean, the study process is the theory, followed by doing questions, of two kinds. You try to do questions which are at the basic level, and then you try to do questions which are at the advanced level. And those of you who are following my books know that I have structured my books around LOD 1, 2, 3. And for a very long time, CAT has been somewhere between LOD 1 and 2. But what the LOD 3 questions and LOD 2 plus questions do, or the difficult questions under LOD2 do is that they start creating uh, situations or on the same topic. So if I take up a topic like averages on the same topic, LOD2 plus question will throw you off your preparation. It'll throw you off your standard reactions and your standard processes for the standard questions. And that's what CAT did. Almost in every second question, almost 20 questions out of the 34, it threw people off their standard reactions and their standard thought processes. And of those people who have not worked out how to think within a question, and people who had prepared, and that's normally what people do, they prepare questions as units. And when you prepare questions as units, you don't break down the thinking inside a question. If you have not done that, then papers like the CAT 18 paper will completely throw you off prep. And that is the reason why there was a huge, almost an earthquake as people walked out of the CAT paper. And the constant refrain from everyone was कि what was that paper? We don't realize कि क्या हुआ था. It was so tough. It completely threw us off prep, and people came out. Good people who were solving 20, 22, 24 questions in the mock test came out after attempting only 12, 13 in the actual CAT. And of course, once the CAT throws you out of your preparation, and it brings you out of your preparation zone, then that's the time when you actually when it actually starts developing you, or when it actually starts putting you. बात कर लो ना तुम. When it actually starts putting you off, or it gets you where it wants you, when it throws you off your preparation, and that's when you actually get uh, uh, the psychological aspects or the fear that comes in. And through the fear that comes in, your prep processes or your preparation zone is completely demolished. And then you are in a situation inside the CAT where you can't even do 2 plus 2 because the thinking is not straight. And under that thinking, once under that situation, even the simple questions then pass you by. And that's how people actually the whole quant section zoom down or dip down for a lot of people. So that's why the process of learning, as you go in for 2019 and onwards, the process of learning should include you to actually research the CAD 18 paper and see what happened in the questions, and how this throwing off of the balance happened when you how this throwing off of the balance of your balance happened when the question started. So without any further ado, let's start looking at the questions. Now the process we'll adopt here is going to be that you will be trying to solve this question. I will show you the question, and I'll give you a minute or so, minute to two, to try to solve this question. And do it on your own. Assume that you are sitting in the exam and you face this question in front of you before I come to you with the solution of the question. So this is the first question for you, and I'm giving you a 2 minute time frame to think about this and try to solve this. Right. So we've almost taken 1.5 minutes, another half a minute before I start. Now, the key in questions like this is to break down the question into its parts and try to react to the individual parts of the questions. When I said that most people prepare when they prepare for the CAT, they prepare for questions as units. What I meant to say was that people take the whole question at a time. That's the best way to create disaster for yourself in a paper like CAT 18. You'll be able to do well in a paper like CAT 17 in that, for instance, where the questions were single line, two line, three line questions. But when things start to get tough, and now that CAT 2018 has set the benchmark, you can expect that 19, 20, 21 will remain similar. Because if you look at parallel structures, uh, CAT once it makes a shift into a certain kind of question pattern, then it remains there for the next few years. So, for example, if you look at English, the English section of the CAT is more or less stabilized. You look at the last 7 8 years of papers of the CAT, you will almost see a sameness to the paper. Similarly, in DI, data interpretation and logical reasoning, till 2011, 12, 13, the data interpretation and logical reasoning sections were pretty normal and easy. But they started getting tough and started going beyond the comprehension of normal people from 2014 onwards. And then after that, it has not mattered whether it has been I am Calcutta or I am Indore or I am Bangalore, which has set the paper. The DILR section has always been of the same quality and the same intensity, right? And every year is the DILR paper is kind of a temple for understanding what kind of questions can be framed in a real life context based on data or based on reasoning. So similarly, once CAT 18 has gone into the dimensions which it has gone to, you will need to learn. If from CAT 19 onwards, you will need to learn how to tackle questions which throw you off your formulas and which throw you off your normal algebraic ways of solving. So let's look at this question. Now, I think I've given you enough time to solve this. So let's look at this question. And as I said, the key to questions like this is to actually break down your thinking into parts and break down your reactions to parts. So, so if you look at this question, the question says from a rectangle ABCD, from a rectangle ABCD, of area 768 square centimeters. Now, this itself is a hint in this question that if the area of a rectangle is 768 square centimeters, what are the sides of the rectangle which are possible? So, if you consider the sides to be integers, the possibilities are based on pairs of factors of 768. So if you start thinking, you can actually get rid of these first few numbers because you will typically not have a rectangle with the side one side 4 and the other 192. That would be a very very skewed kind of rectangle. So you are more interested in the middle values of these factor pairs. Now, if you pause a brief moment at this time and instead of going forward with the factor pairs, you continue with the question. The question going forward says a similar circular part with diameter AB and area 72 pi square centimeters is removed. Right? So what is happening is a semicircular part of diameter AB and area 72 pi square centimeters removed. Now, when you think of this, you could have a triangle, a rectangle like the one I had drawn up above, or you could have a rectangle which could be like this, where the BC side is larger. And if you're drawing the rectangle with the AB side larger, if you're drawing the rectangle with the AB side larger, then when you draw the semicircle on that diameter of AB, what will happen is a large part of the semicircle will be outside the rectangle. So that does not seem to be feasible. So it's more likely going to be this circle. And the question says that this circle has a area of this semicircle has an area of 72 pi. Now we know that the area of a circle is pi r square. So area of a semicircle is pi r square by 2. And if pi r square by 2 is 72 pi, it naturally means that the value of r square is 144. And that naturally means then that the value of r is 12. And that means that if the radius of this is 12, it means the side AB must be 24. And if side AB is 24, then in our factor search of 768, we realize that the other side must be 768 by 24. And that gives you a value of 32 for the answer. So we now know that the rectangle is a 24 by 32 rectangle. Right? And then we need to go ahead with the question after this deduction, that the rectangle is 24 by 32 rectangle. We need to go ahead into the question. And the question is asking us not for the area, but the perimeter of the leftover portion. So if you think of the, if you now go back to understanding the leftover rectangle, what you would realize is that you have this picture where what I've drawn in blue, or let me change that pen color to red so that it will be clear. So the leftover portion has this shape. The leftover portion has this shape. So if you look at this, then the perimeter of the leftover shape basically depends on the side 32, that's 32 plus 32, 64, plus 24, that's 88, and the perimeter of this semicircle, and the perimeter of the perimeter of a circle is 2 pi r. So the perimeter of the semicircle is pi r, and we know that the r here is 12. So which means that this is 12 pi, and hence the correct area or correct perimeter of the leftover portion is 88 plus 12 pi. Option 2 is the correct answer. Right? So this is how you do this question. Now let's move to the second one. I hope you have understood this. So try to solve this one. Again, you will see it will throw you off your preparation. It's a question from permutation combination, and I'll give you a couple of minutes to try to solve this. So I hope you've seen that question. Right, so I've given you more than 2 minutes now to solve this. So let's have a look at this question and what it tells us to do. The question says that in a tournament there are 43 junior level and 51 senior level participants, and each pair of juniors plays a match. Now you should know this and most people would know this, that if there are n people in a group and everybody plays one match with each other, and they are playing a round robin tournament, or n teams in a group and they are playing a round robin tournament, the number of matches is essentially NC2. Right, the number of matches in the group will be NC2. Right, so when you read this part, that each pair of juniors plays one match, and you know that there are 43 juniors. This point is a point in the question where you can have a reaction of 43 C2 matches amongst the juniors, and the value of 43 C2 is 43 into 42 upon 2, which means, and you'll have to do this in the exam because this is quantitative information that the question is giving you. So that's 43 into 21. That means that there are 903 matches in the tournament between the juniors, right? And each pair of seniors plays one match. So amongst the seniors, there will be 51 C2 matches. And then you can again calculate that, but we'll postpone that calculation right now and we'll move on. And the critical information in this question is this statement. And how do you understand this statement? This is what I meant when I told you that you have to move out of looking at questions as units. Move out of questions, looking at questions as complete units, and go into the substructure of the question, because if you can actually take yourself into the substructure of the questions can't hurt you. So look at this part. The number of girls versus girls matches in junior level is 153. So if there are G girls and B boys in the junior level, it means that the number of girl versus girl matches in the junior level is GC2. Because if they're G girls and they're all playing each other, as the question says that everybody plays each other once, then amongst the girls there'll be GC2 matches. And what is given to you here is that the value of GC2 is 153. And the value of GC2 is also equal to G into G minus 1 by 2. This is something you should know from your theory of permutation combination. G into G minus 1 upon 2 is equal to 153. That means G into G minus 1, if you take this 2 on the other side, the product of G into G minus 1 would be 306. And from this point, when you get G into G minus 1 is 306, people who are only mathematically oriented start moving into G squared minus G minus 306 equal to 0. And then they start solving it like a quadratic equation. But if you think numerically here, G into G minus 1 is essentially nothing but the multiplication of two consecutive integers. G and G minus 1 are two consecutive integers, with G being the larger one. So two consecutive integers adding up to multiplying up to 306. Excuse me. It's not very difficult to see that the value of G must be 18 and the value of G minus 1 must be 17. So what you realize is that in the junior group of the 43 people, there are 17 girls and 26 boys. There are 17 girls and 26 boys in the junior group. Similarly, the next statement says the number of boy versus boy matches in senior level is 276. So junior level has 17 girls and 26 boys. Now how do you react to this information? The boy versus boy matches is 276. So if you now take capital G as the number of girls in the senior level and capital B as the number of boys in the senior level, this information right here is helping you to identify the number of boys in this group. because the value of BC2, the value of BC2, let me try to write that again. The value of BC2 is given to you as 276. And then again, that means B into B minus 1. So BC2 is 276. So B into B minus 1 by 2 is 276, which means B into B minus 1 must be 552. And again, you're hunting for two consecutive integers that multiply to 552. So if you start, let's say, from a 20 into 21, you realize that 20 into 21 is 420. That's too small. Then it's a trial and error situation basically. Then if you try 21 into 22, you realize it's 462. It's too small. 22 into 23, you don't need to check because that's a number which will give you 6 in the unit digit. And if you try 23 into 24, you realize that 23 into 24 is indeed 552, and hence you realize that there are 24 boys in this group. So if there are 24 boys in this group, this means that in the senior people, of the 51 people, there are 24 boys, and naturally the remaining 27 must be girls. And if you have 24 boys and 27 girls in the group, both the groups now are finalized in terms of number of boys and girls. So the question goes on to ask you the number of matches that a boy plays against a girl. So for that, in the junior group, there were 26 boys and 17 girls. In the senior group, as we just discovered, there are 24 boys and 27 girls. When you're talking about number of matches between a boy and a girl, the boy-girl matches will happen in the juniors as well as the seniors. So in the juniors, the number of boy-girl matches essentially is given by BC1 into GC1. Select a boy into select a girl. So you can select a boy in 26 ways and you can select a girl in 17 ways. So the number of matches between a boy and girl in the junior group will be 26 into 17. That you can calculate with 17 twos are 34, so 17 20s are 340 and 17 6 is 102. So the total number is 442 here. That's the number of matches in the junior group. Whereas in the senior group, when you do the same thing, the BC1 into GC1, the number of matches is going to be 24. There are 24 ways you can select a boy into 27. There are 27 ways in which you can select a girl. And 27 into 24, again, calculation wise, you can do it this way: 27 twos are 54. So 20 times is 540, and 27 4 times is 108. That's 540 plus 108. That's 648. And that gives us that the total number of people, or the total number of matches between a boy and a girl in the juniors, there's 442, and in the seniors it is 648. So the total number of matches is 1090. And not just was the question throwing you off your balance in terms of doing the basic questions where you're selecting two boys and those kind of questions. It was throwing you off the balance, but also the calculations. If it had been 13 into 17, for instance, the calculations will be much faster. But even the calculations was a speed breaker, and you need to be careful about once you got the numbers. You need to be very careful with these calculations. And a lot of people, obviously, when they prepare for the CAT, they don't work so much on the calculations, or the calculations are poor. And for them, even after calculating the 24, 26 values, the final answer would still be a minute and a half away. So imagine doing this question in a 1.5 minute framework, in a 2 minute framework. Imagine doing this whole thing in a 2 minute framework, being able to find that 18. Uh, Sorry, I think I made a small error in that. The number of girls there was 18, because when you get that 153, and you get that g into g minus 1 is 306. The value you get for g is 18 into 17. So that means there are 18 girls and 25 boys in the junior level. The senior level calculations is okay. There are 24 boys and 27 girls. So the number of matches in the senior level is 27 and 24. That's okay. 642 matches between a boy and a girl in the senior level. But when you're looking at the junior level, the number of matches is 25 into 18, which is 450. And the correct answer then will become 1092, not 1090. That's the answer to this question. Okay, sorry for that small error in calculation, but you can see how much is required to solve a question like this, and you make a small error like that, and everything goes down the drain, and you can then appreciate why CAT 18 was the paper that people came out with the reactions which they came with. Look at the third question and try to solve this now. Right. So, do you have any structures to do this? The question in this question, again, a geometry question. This once the main problem in this question is not the length of the question, but the ability to see what is to be done. So in this question, if you see that there's a triangle ABC, let's say we talk about this triangle A, B, and C. A circle with diameter BC is drawn. So if you draw a circle with diameter BC, that circle will look something like this. Of course, the PowerPoint pen which I use here is not very precise, but I guess you can understand what we are talking about. This is the circle drawn, and BC is the diameter. So the midpoint of BC will be the center of that circle. Let's say it's O. We should be able to visualize that at this point. And BC is drawn, and this intersects AB and AC at points P and Q respectively. So this is intersecting AB at point P and AC at point Q, right? And then they've told us the length of AB. The length of AB is 30. The length of AC is 25 because it's given respectively. So the length of AC is 25. And the length of CP the length of CP. So if I draw CP here, this length of CP is given to me as 20. Now, the solution to this question is just 20 seconds away from this point, but you need to realize the right thing for that. And the realization, the right thing, by the right thing I mean that you need to realize that when you draw the line CP from C to P, then this angle BPC is an angle which is subtended by the diameter. And that means this angle BPC must be a right angle. And if the angle BPC is the right angle, then the area of triangle ABC the area of a triangle is always given by base into height. And any triangle, one of the key learnings that you do if you study your geometry well is that whenever you draw any triangle, so there are three ways in which you can get the area. If you take this as the base, you get that as the height. You take this as the base, you get that as the height. You take this as the base, you get that as the height. So there are three ways in which you can have base into height, half base into height used whenever you're trying to draw or whenever you're trying to find the area of any triangle. So if you look through this situation, then the key in this in solving this question essentially becomes that the area of triangle ABC is half base into height, and if I take my base as AB, then CP will be my height. So the area of triangle ABC is half base into height, which is half 30 into 20, which is 300. Now, the question is leading you to find the length of BQ. So if you look at the length of BQ, then you can draw a similar line from B to Q, and because this is again subtended at the diameter, the right angle would be there again at BQC. And if BQC is a right angle, then the area of the triangle ABC can also be found by half AC into BQ. Half AC into BQ will again form the same area of the same triangle. And once you realize that, you can then simply do, since you know AC as 25 and you know the area is 300, finding BQ becomes a cakewalk, because you can just equate this 300 to half AC, which is 25, into BQ, which is the unknown value. So once you solve this, you'll get the value of BQ as 24 to get the answer. The value of BQ is 24. That's what gives you the answer. Right? Of course, you could have picked up this question one step earlier and simply said that you could have got rid of this thinking of this half here. You could have got rid of the thinking about this half here and simply said that 30 into 20 30 into 20 is equal to the 25 into x, where the length of BQ is x. And you can straight away solve this, and this will be faster, of course, because this will 25 will cancel 30 1.2 times. 25 will cancel 30 1.2 times, and hence the value of x will be 24. Right? So this was an easier question, much less steps, but the question hinged on your ability to see that that structure or that right angle there. So we have time for one last question, and in this case I'll not be able to give you the time to solve because we don't have that much time. That I'll give you time to solve, and then again solve it from my side also. And the remaining questions, I mean, I'll do all the questions of this paper for you. And the question here is talking about the smallest integer n such that n cube minus 11n square plus 32 and minus 28 is greater than 0. Now, there are two ways to solve this question. One is the mathematical way, the other is the logical way. The logical way simply involves you checking the values at n equals 1, n equals 2, n equals 3, n equals 4, n equals 5, 6, and so on till you get it greater than 0. And why we start from 1 is because we realize that if I go for n equal to 0, the expression is going to be negative. And if I go with n negative, then n cube is negative, minus n square is 11n square is negative, plus 32n is negative, and minus 28 is also negative. This question basically belongs to block 5, which is algebra. Block 5, the way I refer to it in my book, it's from the algebra section. It's a mixture of functions and inequalities, right? So at n greater than less than 0, the function on the left hand side of this inequality is always going to be negative. So you really don't need to look at n less than 0. So once you start at 1, now this is going to depend on the calculation skill straight. At 1, the value is 1 minus 11 plus 32 minus 28, and you can simply see that it's a negative value. You don't need to calculate the value. At 2, it's 8 minus 44, and that's why I tell my students and I tell everybody who cares to listen to me that you need to be good at calculations, because if you look at this question, the final value at which this is going to happen when the function becomes positive happens at n equals 8, not before that. So if you are going to struggle with your calculations, you're going to be a lot worse off than a lot of other people. So in this case, the value does come out to be 0. But at n equals 3, you have 27 minus 99. And what a lot of people did was that they thought about the graph, that the graph is going from to 0 at 2. So at 3, it must be positive. But the people who set this cat were so sharp that they made sure that the graph of this function was such that it came down after 2. Because if you look at the roots later of this function, you have this equation equal to 0, you'll have n minus 2 as a coincident root in this case. So if you check at 3, you have a plus 96 and a minus 28, and you can clearly see that in this case again the function is negative. And when you look at 4, it's 64 minus 88 plus 128 minus 28 sorry, not this is not going to be 88. This is minus 176. At n equals 4, 11n square will be 176. So that's the negative values are minus 204. The positive values are smaller than that. At 5, again 125 minus 275 plus 160 minus 28, which is essentially a negative value again. So 6, and a shorter way to do this would have been that once you realize that it is going down after 2 to 3, you could have actually skipped a couple of values, because the graph normally once it goes down will remain down for some time before it starts coming up. So if you check at 7, the value becomes 343. I'm skipping the 6 check. the value becomes 343. And you can imagine, if your calculation is not good, this is going to take you a lot of time. But if your calculations are good, you could feasibly do each of this in 4-5 seconds, 5 maybe 7 seconds. So this is still feasible to be done in 1.5 minutes, even with this calculations. So with 7 minus 343 minus 49 into 11, that means 523. So that gives me a minus 180 plus 224. 32 into 7 minus 28. So this is not 523. 49 into 11 is 539. So you can see, under pressure, doing this is going to get really tough. And the alternate way of doing it, where you use the equation solving of cubic equations, is even tougher. So this is a simpler way to do this, but provided you can handle your calculations. So piece of advice from me before I wind up: just make sure that you are doing well on your calculations. These kind of things should not take you more than 15 seconds per 10 to 15 seconds per calculations. Even when you reach this point, you will see that at 7 it's negative, and if you check at 8, it does come out positive. So 8 is the smallest value at which this happens. Fine then, we are out of time now in the session. Please remember CAT 18, a landmark year, and I'll come back with more on this channel in my next session. Thanks a lot. I enjoyed being with all of you, and we will wind up with that for today. Thank you so much.